The voice in the laundry room. The first time I heard my grandmother calling me from the laundry room. She had already been dead for 6 years. I was 29, recently divorced, broke enough to be sleeping on a mattress directly on the floor, and stupid enough to move back into the house where I grew up. It had belonged to my grandmother first, then my mother. Then, after my mother moved 3 states away with her new husband and sent me a message that said, "The house is yours if you want it," it became mine. She did not offer to help move. She did not ask whether I wanted it. She just mailed me the keys. The house sat at the end of a dead road outside a small town in Ohio. It was a narrow 2-story place with faded gray siding, a sagging porch, and an old detached garage that had not held a car since the 90s. Behind it was a strip of woods that seemed ordinary in daylight and bottomless at night. I had not lived there since I was 17. There were reasons for that. At first, moving back felt almost comforting. The old wallpaper in the hall was still the same ugly yellow pattern. The kitchen cabinets still smelled faintly like coffee grounds and bleach. The carpet upstairs still had a dark stain near the bathroom that no cleaner had ever been able to remove. My childhood bedroom was exactly as I remembered it, except smaller. That happens when you go back to places where you were scared. Everything shrinks. The hallway seems narrower. The closets seem less deep. The ceiling seems lower. But the fear stays the same size. The laundry room was in the basement. When I was a kid, I hated going down there. Not because it was especially creepy. It was just a basement. Concrete walls. Water heater. Old shelves. A washer and dryer that always smelled damp no matter how much detergent you used. But my grandmother spent a lot of time down there. Too much. She would go downstairs after dinner and not come back for hours. Sometimes I would hear the washer running long after everyone had gone to bed. Other times, I would hear nothing at all. Just the basement door opening, then closing, then the faint sound of someone moving around below us. My grandmother had a rule. Nobody went into the laundry room after dark. Not even her. That was what she said. But she did. I remember one night when I was 8. I had been sitting on the stairs in my pajamas, listening to the television while my mother slept on the couch after work. My grandmother came into the kitchen wearing her robe. She had a basket of towels in her arms. I asked her if she was doing laundry. She looked at me for a long time before answering. Then she said, "No, I'm taking it downstairs, so she has something clean to wear." I asked who she meant. My mother woke up on the couch so fast that she nearly knocked over a lamp. My grandmother dropped the basket. Every towel spilled across the kitchen floor. Neither of them said anything. Then my mother grabbed me by the arm and took me upstairs. That was the first time I remember being afraid of my own family. By the time I was 13, I had learned not to ask questions. By the time I was 17, I had learned to leave whenever the basement door opened. And by the time I moved back into the house at 29, I had convinced myself that all of it had been nothing. Childhood nerves, family tension, a grandmother with dementia, a mother who drank too much. Old memories distort themselves. That is what I told myself. The first week in the house was quiet. I cleaned. I unpacked. I threw out rotten food, dead batteries, expired medicine, stacks of yellowed magazines. I found old photographs in drawers. Most of them were normal. Christmas mornings, birthday cakes, school pictures. But there were a few that were strange. In one, my mother stood in the backyard when she was maybe 16. She was smiling at the camera, holding a plate of food. Behind her, through the kitchen window, was a little girl I did not recognize. The girl was standing in the laundry room doorway. She had long dark hair, a pale face, and no expression at all. I stared at that picture for 10 minutes. Then I threw it away. That was my first mistake. The second happened a few nights later. I woke up at 3:11 in the morning because I heard the dryer running. At first I did not move. I lay on the mattress and listened. The dryer made that familiar low-turning sound, a slow, heavy thump every few seconds, like something inside it was unevenly balanced. Thump, thump, thump. I told myself it was pipes. Then I told myself it was the furnace. Then I realized the house did not have a furnace. It had baseboard heaters. The sound kept going. Thump, thump, thump. I got out of bed. The hallway was dark. The only light came from the moon through the front window. I could see the kitchen at the end of the hall. The basement door stood closed. The dryer was definitely running. I walked toward it. Every step made the floor creak. The sound below stopped. Not slowly. Immediately. The house went silent. I stood in front of the basement door with one hand on the knob. Then I heard my grandmother's voice. Eli. I froze. Her voice came from downstairs. Soft. Old. Tired. Eli, honey? I had not heard her voice in 6 years. Not in person. Not on a recording. Not in my dreams. But I knew it instantly. There are some voices your body remembers before your mind can explain them. I stepped away from the door. My grandmother spoke again. I dropped something. I could hear her breathing between words. Can you come help me? I should have run upstairs. I should have left the house. Instead, I stood there with my hand over my mouth, staring at the basement door. Then the door knob began to turn, very slowly. I watched it move. Once, twice, then stop. The lock clicked. I had locked it before bed. I knew I had. I always did. The knob turned again. The door opened about half an inch. A cold smell came out. Wet clothes. Dirt. Mildew. And something sweet underneath it, like spoiled fruit. My grandmother's voice whispered through the crack. Eli. I slammed the door shut. I locked it. Then I dragged the kitchen table in front of it. I sat in the living room until morning with every light on. At 9, I called my mother. She answered on the 4th ring. Hey, she said. Everything okay? I almost told her. I almost said, Grandma's downstairs. Instead, I asked, why did Grandma spend so much time in the laundry room? There was a long silence. Then my mother said, don't go down there after dark. I felt my stomach turn. What? Just don't. Mom. She sighed. I could hear traffic in the background. A car horn. Wind. I should have sold the house, she said. What is in the basement? Nothing. You just told me not to go down there. I said don't go down there after dark. Why? Another silence. Then she said something that made my skin crawl. Because she knows your voice now. The call ended. I tried calling back. Straight to voicemail. I spent the rest of the day convincing myself that my mother was messing with me. That was easier than admitting she was afraid. That evening, I went into town and bought a padlock. Then another. Then a security camera. The kind that connects to your phone. I put one camera facing the basement door and another in the basement itself. I had to go downstairs to place it. I did not want to, but I also needed to prove to myself that nothing was there. The basement looked normal. Dusty. Cold. Unfinished. The laundry room sat at the far end, separated by an old wooden door with peeling white paint. It had always been there. I remembered it from childhood, but I had never really looked at it before. There were 3 locks on the outside, a deadbolt, a chain, and a small brass lock near the bottom. I remembered my grandmother keeping keys on a ring around her neck. I remembered hearing her downstairs late at night. I remembered towels in the kitchen, something clean to wear. I placed the camera facing the laundry room door. Then I ran upstairs. For 2 days, nothing happened. The camera feed showed a still basement, the old washer, the shelves, the closed laundry room door. No movement, no sound. On the 3rd night, I woke at 3:11 again. The dryer was running. Thump, thump, thump. I grabbed my phone. The camera app had one notification. Motion detected. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped it. I opened the feed. At first, all I saw was the basement. The camera had switched to night vision. Everything looked gray and grainy. The laundry room door was open, not wide, just enough for darkness to leak into the basement. The dryer was running. I could see it moving slightly with each turn. Thump, thump, thump. Then someone stepped into frame. A woman. Thin. Barefoot. Long hair hanging over her face. She wore a white dress that looked wet at the bottom. She walked slowly toward the camera. I could not breathe. She stopped directly in front of it. Her face filled the screen. It was not my grandmother. It was a little girl, maybe 9 years old. Her skin was pale and stretched tight over her skull. Her eyes were black. Her mouth was too wide. She smiled. Then she said my name, not through the camera speaker, from downstairs. Eli. I dropped my phone. The basement door began to shake. Once, twice, then 3 hard knocks from the other side. The kitchen table scraped across the floor. I had forgotten to move it back after the first night. It was still blocking the door. Something hit it again. The table moved an inch. I ran upstairs. I locked myself in the bathroom. For the next hour, I heard the sound of something dragging itself up the basement stairs. Slowly. The basement door was still shut, but something was on the other side. Scratching. Breathing. Then my grandmother's voice. Eli, she's cold. I sat on the bathroom floor with my back against the tub. My grandmother began crying. Not loudly, just soft sobbing through the door downstairs. Then she said, I told your mother not to bring her home. That was when I remembered something. Not a clear memory. A fragment. I was 6 years old. My mother was in the basement, yelling at my grandmother. My grandmother kept saying, You don't know what she is. My mother kept saying, She's my daughter. Then I heard another voice. A child crying. My mother had never had another child. At least, that was what I had been told. The next morning, I went to the library. I looked up old newspapers. I searched my family name. I searched the house address. I searched for anything. After 2 hours, I found an article from 1988. A missing child. A girl named Emily Carter, 9 years old, disappeared from a gas station outside town while her mother went inside to pay. No body was ever found. The article included a photo. Long dark hair. Round face. Small mouth. The girl from my camera. I stared at it until the librarian asked if I was okay. Then I found another article. This one from 3 years later. A woman arrested for breaking into a house outside town. The article did not list the address, but the photo showed my mother. She was 23. Her hair was shorter, her face thinner. She looked terrified. The article said she had been found inside the home of a missing child, attempting to remove evidence from the basement. The charges were dropped due to lack of evidence. No explanation was given. I left the library and drove straight to my mother's house. It took 4 hours. She did not answer the door. I called her phone from the porch. Nothing. Then I heard movement inside. I said, Mom, I know about Emily. The house went quiet. Then the curtain in the living room moved. My mother stood behind it. She looked older than I remembered. Smaller. Her face was pale. She opened the door, but kept the chain on. You should not have gone looking, she said. Who is Emily? My mother closed her eyes. She was not Emily anymore. What does that mean? My mother leaned her forehead against the door. For a long time, she said nothing. Then she whispered, Your grandmother found her in the woods. Found who? The girl. Emily. No. I felt sick. My mother looked up at me. When I was 16, I found a girl in the woods behind the house. She was crying. She said she was lost. She said her name was Emily. The porch light flickered. My mother kept talking. She looked just like the missing girl from the papers. I knew it was impossible. She had been missing for years. But she was cold and alone, and I brought her home. You brought her to Grandma? I thought she could help. My mother started crying. She knew right away. Knew what? That it wasn't child. I stared at her. My mother gripped the chain lock. She told me to take it back into the woods. She said it had followed someone home before. She said it copies children because people trust children. What did Grandma do? She locked it in the laundry room. Why there? Because the room has no windows. My mother looked past me toward the road. Because she thought if it couldn't see outside, it couldn't learn anyone else's voice. I thought about the camera. The little girl saying my name. My grandmother's voice through the basement door. She knew my voice, I said. My mother nodded. You moved back into that house. Why didn't you tell me? Because you were a baby when it happened. I felt the world tilt. What? My mother started shaking. You were sick, she said. You had a fever. Your grandmother was taking care of you. I went downstairs one night, and found the laundry room door open. Mom, she was holding you. I could not speak. She had you in her arms, my mother whispered. The thing, it was standing in the basement holding you and singing to you in my voice. My throat closed. She said she loved you. My mother looked at me with wet, desperate eyes, and I knew then that it had learned you. I drove back to the house before dark. I do not know why. Maybe because I still thought I could fix something. Maybe because I did not want to leave the cameras there. Maybe because part of me believed that if I went inside, I could find proof that this was all some horrible family lie. The house was dark when I arrived. No lights. No sound. The front door was open. I had locked it. The basement door was open too. The kitchen table had been moved. I stood in the hallway for a long time. Then I heard someone humming downstairs. My grandmother's favorite song. A little tune she used to sing while folding clothes. I walked down the basement steps. Every part of my body told me not to, but I kept going. The laundry room door was wide open. The locks hung broken. Inside, the dryer was running. Thump, thump, thump. There was something inside it. A dark shape pressing against the glass. I stepped closer. The dryer stopped. The door opened by itself. Inside was a pile of wet towels, and underneath them, a small silver necklace. My mother's necklace. The one she wore every day. I heard breathing behind me. I turned around. The little girl stood at the bottom of the stairs. Her hair was wet. Her dress clung to her body. Her eyes were black. But when she spoke, it was my mother's voice. "Eli," she said. Then she smiled. "I brought you something clean to wear." The basement lights went out. I ran. I do not remember getting outside. I do not remember driving away. The next thing I remember is sitting in a gas station parking lot 40 miles from home while the sun came up. My mother never answered her phone again. The police went to her house 2 days later. They found it empty. Her car was still in the driveway. Her purse was on the kitchen counter. The back door was open. There were wet footprints leading into the woods. They searched for weeks. Nothing. That was 8 months ago. I do not live in the house anymore. I do not live anywhere for very long. I sleep in hotels. I use cash. I never do laundry after dark. But every few weeks, no matter where I am, I wake up at exactly 3:11 in the morning, and I hear the dryer running. Thump, thump, thump. Then someone knocks on the door. 3 times. And my grandmother's voice whispers from the hallway. "Eli, she's cold."